All right, good evening, everyone. Today is, I forgot the day, May 15th. And today we'll go over some waiter safety. Jim is going to hold that, and he's going to tie up a fly for us. So should be very informative. I'm glad Jim brought up the idea of doing safety. We need to do that more often. So he's going to start this off with waiters, and then we'll probably find other areas on to discuss safety and maybe safety equipment. And it'll lead into maybe I'll try to get some of those waiting staffs for us. That's an easy buy for us if it's for safety equipment related. So with that, I will turn it over to Jim, and then we will go from there.
Yeah, okay. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about waiter safety tonight. A couple of weeks ago, there was an article in the paper, and a guy who had a cabin down on the North Fork River, he went fishing, called up his wife about 10 o'clock in the morning, said, "I'm going fishing." Later on that day, a kayaker found him drowned in about 2 feet of water downstream from there. And in the article, there was a member of the Missouri Highway Patrol talking to the reporter to try to explain what happened, and they don't know what happened. He was wading by himself, so they're just kind of guessing the possibilities and stuff like that. But let me read this to you. It says he was fishing alone. It's unclear why he drowned, but he was wearing chest waders and apparently wading in the water. The officer said chest waders can pose dangers if someone falls. If you fall in the water, they fill with water very quickly and they are hard to get off. Chest waders restrict your mobility a lot, and it seems like every year we have a duck hunter or a fisherman who drowns. They step off into deeper water or they trip and fall and their waders fill up. We can't say this is what happened, but the waders are the investigators' theory. So he doesn't come out and say it, but I think the implication is pretty clear that they think that when you fall in the water and you get water in your waders, the weight of that water will drag you down and drown you, which is a myth that I've heard all my life. But it doesn't work that way. If you do fall in the water, and your waders will start filling up, the water inside your waders, as long as you're in the water inside your waders has the same density as the water outside your waders, and that's a neutral density. So the water in your waders itself will not drag you down and drown you. It can cause other problems. It will probably increase the chance of hypothermia or whatever, but it's not like somebody threw a bunch of lead slugs in your pocket or tied on a pair of concrete boots and it's going to pull you down. It doesn't work that way. But what you do when you fall in the water can really determine how it's all going to end. I mean, there's certainly any number of things that can happen, like the current takes you away, you get stuck under a log, or you get caught up on something, or hypothermia.
Okay.
Any number of things that can happen that is not going to are going to make things go bad, but just having water in your waders is not one of them. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do to prepare before you go to the water and when you're in the water, and what to do if you fall with your waders on. So the first and simplest thing you can do with waders is to wear a belt. I mean, every pair of waders comes with a belt, and tie it around your waist, nice and snug. And it's exactly for minimizing how much or how fast the water will come in your waders. So most waders come with a belt. I don't have any anymore because I've thrown them all away, but they have a little clip like this. It kind of flips together and it's secure. The problem with those belts is they become difficult to adjust the tightness. And for instance, if I can fish in the beginning of March and it can be cold, I got 5 layers of clothes on. I need a belt that's not as tight as 4 weeks later when we have a warm day. And also I have is a t-shirt on and I need to adjust the belt tighter. So I know myself well enough, I'm lazy, that if I had one of these belts, just the difficulty of adjusting the tension, the proper tension, I'm lazy, and chances are I am not going to take the care to always have them adjusted properly. But a simple web belt does the trick. I mean, you put it on, you put it through there, you put it as tight as you want, you fold it over, and you're good to go. This one right here is probably overkill, but I don't think it was really any more expensive than many web belts, and it's actually called a TDU, a tactical duty uniform belt. And this thing is strong enough that if you had to, you could pull it off and throw it to somebody and they could pull you out of the water. I mean, it's super strong. It can hold, I can throw my canteen on there. I can throw my waiting staff on there. It will never break. So, but regardless of what belt you wear, always wear a belt. The second thing is younger. I didn't have these, but I probably bought this one a good, I'm sure at least 20 years ago. This is a full staff, and it's probably, excuse me, I've got a bird here that's yelling at us. But anyway, this is probably a high-end and relatively expensive waiting staff. But when I bought it, I don't think there was any other option. But there are other manufacturers that make this kind of design that fold up with a bungee cord. And there are other manufacturers that have different designs where rather than held together with a bungee cord, there's a solid cord and you pull it out of your holster. And I've never actually used one, but you pull on something and there's a cord and it pulls everything together and it snaps into place.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Could I see the tip of that? I've got 2 of them, and the biggest problem I have with waiting staffs is right on the tip. It's got a pointed or a sharp tip. Very frequently, that will get down in the stream bed, and it will get stuck. And when I try to pull it out, because of the bungee cords, I can't get it out.
Are you talking about
that end?
Tip?
Yeah, that end right there.
Or are you talking about this joint here?
Yeah, if it gets stuck in the bottom of the creek, then you try to pull on it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let me talk about that, because especially these full staffs are susceptible to that very thing. As you're waiting, you're pushing down on it, and at the end of the day, typically it's this first joint, might be the first couple, or it could be any number of them up here. So 2 things. Every once in a while, I'll take paraffin and I'll rub it all over all the joints. And that helps a little bit, but honestly, that washes off pretty quickly. But what you do is you take it and you smack the tip against a rock. You'll hit it a few times, and that helps loosen up that joint. And you just twist and pull. And
Nope,
you
that's
might
not what
have to.
That's not what I mean.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
the tip right there on the far end on your left side. Yeah,
Right here.
when I stick that in,
Okay.
some of the streams I wade in are kind of have some somewhat muddy or clay bottoms. When I stick it in to lean on it, the bottom that gets stuck in the bottom of the river.
Oh.
And when you try to pull it out because of the bungee cords that are in it, the
right.
sections come free and you can't get that lower section loose.
Oof.
And that creates sometimes a real problem because you got to bend over now and try and get that thing out under the water. So
Yeah, I can imagine that it would present a
and I don't
problem.
have a solution to that. I've never found a.
If it's an older staff, you probably need to replace your bungee.
Yeah.
No,
There
it's a
are
new staff.
I have a Sims staff and it locks when you put it all together so that it does not,
Okay,
sections do not come apart. But so I'd say you need to consider where you typically fish and the kind of, if you end up in places where it's muddy and the sort where that you're really susceptible to that, getting one that's held together with bungees is probably not the best decision. It might be worth the extra money or whatever it is but keep that in mind when you buy one, whether you want one where the sections actually locked together or if it's just a bungee holding them together.
yeah, I didn't know they made them with the lock sections. That's a good idea. I'll be able to look around for one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Sims
sure
makes one.
Yeah, Sims makes one. So yeah, so I mean, there's like I say, there's advantages and disadvantages. So there's a perfect advantage for that that other system. The advantage of this one is that it's a one-handed operation. You just pull it out of your holster and it sets up. The other one is it takes two hands. But if that's your problem, that sounds like
sometimes
pretty
it's a
darn
little
good
bit of
solution.
an effort to get it to actually finish locking together, but then it does stay together. So yeah, trade-offs.
Yeah. So I mean, regardless of which type you use, any waiting staff is going to be better than no waiting staff. I mean, so my waiting staff is tied off to the holster, which is on my tactical belt here. So it's never going to go anywhere. It's always
I agree
Yes,
with
sir.
you on that, where when I start stepping into the water, I'll put the staff together and mine's kind of tied on too, and I'll just let it trail behind me as I walk because one or two steps into some places and all of a sudden, I mean, it's like I shouldn't be here and you can grab your staff and start using it immediately. That is not the time to be trying to put it together, even if it's bungee cord. That's
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I have a suggestion. You probably already touched on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is that Sims that you're talking about. And as you can see, I have it attached to my vest at all times.
Okay.
And I have a bungee cord. And so when I'm walking, it's always right here. All I could do is grab it, and I'm good. And because, as some of you know, I've had really bad knee joints and stuff like that, and a guy as big as me doesn't want to fall or try to get up with water laden. This is something I put together with the magnets and the thing, and like Roger said I let it trail behind me sometimes, sleeve it out. But if I'm walking and it's there immediately. The only problem that I see with this is that, you know, you could knock your chin up on it if you got it at the wrong place for a long time. So there you
Yeah,
go.
no, that's a
I'm
good
done.
system. I like that.
Thanks. I'll make you one.
Terry, I'll tell you, the last time I fell, I didn't have my staff. All I had was my Tenkara rod, which is now in about 16 pieces. Because I came down with the Tenkara in both hands, right on top of it, and broke
Ouch.
that thing just like it was a piece of glass. Well, of course, that's what it is. So now I get out of the car, and after I get everything suited up, the staff comes out, and I use it from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I've always got mine. I mean, from the parking lot, it's there. So, and these things stay together the whole time until you release it to pack it up and take it home. So it's oh, what's that real light composite?
Carbon fiber?
Yeah, carbon
Yeah.
folds up this big and it has a little sheath, but I don't even take the sheath out with me.
Yeah, John, that sounds like a pretty good solution to your hole getting stuck in the mud there.
It sure does.
Yeah,
Yeah, the one
yeah,
in that
it
design.
won't, you can't pull it. It won't come apart when you're pulling it out of mud.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank you, everybody.
So,
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
no, that's great. A lot of good information here. And so you got a belt, got a waiting staff, and probably the most effective safety device you can have is a PFD, a personal flotation device. The problem with most of them is they go around your shoulders and sit on your chest, exactly where your fishing vest is or your sling pack or whatever. And the PFD's either in the way of your fishing vest or your fishing vest is in the way of the PFD. And one solution around that is my PFD is it's a belt pack. It clicks around your waist, so it sits low on your waist, and it stays out of the way of all of my my fishing pack or sling pack, whatever. I have several different packs, but it's not in the way of anything. Stays on your waist. This one is not an automatic. If you need it, there is a little thing to pull.
Sorry.
And so when you pull it, there's a little CO2 cart or whatever, and it blows up, and it just opens up, and there is a unit that blows up, and as it goes over your head, although I'm telling you, this one is small enough, I can get it over my head, but not if I'm wearing a hat or glasses. So if I was in a situation where I was really in trouble and I needed to get it over my head, well, my glasses and hat, that's coming off and I'm putting it over my head. I mean, that's certainly the safest way to go. But if I just need a little extra help, I figure I can put my arm through there or hold it. But you have something right there, right to keep. So those are three things that can help you. And I'm not going to try to tell you that I wear that every single time I go fishing. If I'm in a whatever in a river with friends, people are there, I know the river's not up, I know it's not deep. And I'm within eyeshot of somebody most of the time, I might not be wearing it. But if I'm fishing by myself, I don't care if I'm fishing out of a puddle I'm wearing it because you never know what happens. I mean, it's
Hey,
always what you don't expect that is creates all the problems. So I'll
Jim?
go with it. Yes, sir.
My wife came up with an idea. Like I've told you guys, we're going out to Colorado. She took and got one of those AirPods, and actually, they call it an AirPod vault
Okay.
that she put on my waders. Now, granted, it is part of wading safety, but should something happen or I am not back at a certain time when I'm supposed to, she can tell exactly where I am.
Oh, it's something that broadcasts your
Broadcast
location.
my location. Right.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
That way she can look and see, and she can tell if it's not moving or it's not changing positions or whatever at a fairly normal interview, then something may be wrong.
Yeah.
Are those
But
things
that way she can
waterproof?
get somebody to me. Yes, the vaults I got were actually for our dogs' collars. They're waterproof and they bolt on to the fabric. So like on my suspender, it actually has a screw with a point on it that goes through and ties into the tag. And then the tag's
That's a good idea.
The tag bolt's got 4 screws on it that lock it down and make it waterproof.
The only problem with that is I fish a lot of places where there's no cell reception, so that's probably not going to work.
I think it works off of GPS. I think the tags actually work off of GPS.
Cool. I'm going to have to look into that because that's a super idea. I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah. And
Well-
again, what would you call those things?
The actual device is called an AirPod. They're by Apple.
Okay.
And then the thing that holds it is called an AirPod vault. And I thought I had them up here, but I don't see it close. But it's just like a black circle, and on the bottom of it, it's got a rubber seal on it, and then it's got 4 screws that waterproof the AirPod, and then it's got 2 screws that go through the fabric and screw into the iPod carrier and locks it down so that it won't come off the.
Yeah. I like that. That's a great idea. I'm definitely gonna have to.
Now,
look
Yeah.
into
come here.
I just looked up AirPods and they're online. Those are things that go in your ear.
No, AirPod.
What is it
not
called?
AirPod. Here. Let me hold still, buddy. That's what the vault looks like.
Wait just a minute. Replace pin. Okay, what is it now?
It's called an AirPod vault. But that's the vault, and the AirPods goes inside this. Then on the back, that's how it's
I'm
screwed
doing the
through.
same thing Terry did. I'm
No,
all over.
Granted, this one's on my dog's
I'm all over
collar.
the internet, and the only AirPods
one's-
that are showing up are the headset things.
I think it's AirTag.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
AirTag. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I've seen them for.
I'm sorry. Yes, but you see, it's got those 2 screws in the back
Yeah.
that actually go through the material and lock the carrier to your to whatever it's on.
So you put it on your vest.
I put it on my waders, on my suspender for my waders, because it doesn't get in the way. It's small, and that way, should I fall and get swept down river or whatever? Hope not.
So
She
I
can
want one
track
of
it
those
and
for
give them
my-
my exact location.
Eddie, can I have one of
Yes,
those for
that's
my
it,
birthday?
Terry.
Yeah, there are $27.
Yeah. So we.
Yeah, those are great.
I think they do take GPS to know where they are, but to transmit to where you can connect to them, you still have to be cell reception. I know the Mac stuff, anybody with an Apple phone that comes within range of it will connect to it and broadcast your location across the internet to whoever's trying to find it. But you do have to be in where there's cell reception and
Okay.
and somebody else with a Mac phone, Apple phone.
Well, I know that with the way we've got it set up, because I took the dogs out from us, and because I've got an Android phone, and she was able to track wherever we went with us, with where the dogs were. So, I guess if there's no service close to it,
Roger, you're muted.
Okay, here's the way they work.
I guess if there's no,
They
Roger, you're muted.
they send through Bluetooth to a device, and then that goes from Bluetooth out to the web, and then you can use Find My on the web to find it. So it sounds like you got to have some way of connecting your AirTag on it, but
yeah,
Well,
if you would, because she thought it was a great idea,
That
and
kind of,
yeah, it does.
it sounds like basically the same thing. If you have an Apple phone, an iPhone, you have the Find Me app, and it's got the GPS, and so for instance, when I go fishing, my wife has access to find out where I am. However, I don't know how effective it is once I leave.
but see, like I said
service.
with her, she's the only one that has the iPhone, and she could track us where all over. And I know we were well out of Bluetooth range, and I carry an Android phone. I'm not smart enough to use the Apple phones. And it did fine. So I don't know if it's just one device has to be connected to in order to locate it, or if you have to have I wouldn't think you would have to have a device on you to
Apple AirTags connect to any Apple phone in the vicinity. So I don't know if they'll go through another phone, but they do go through a cell phone in the end. So if you're out someplace totally away where there's no cell coverage or nobody else around with a cell phone, I don't think the AirTag would end up working. Same with the Find Me on Google or Find Me in,
Okay.
You have
I'm
to
gonna
be
have to do some
connected.
research into that then.
Yeah.
But thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah. No, that's
Your in coverage
some
is
great
great.
stuff.
Maybe somebody else out there,
Yeah, I don't know enough about Apple stuff to.
but
So anyway, let's move on to, you're on the river and you don't have your PFD. Maybe you have a waiting staff, maybe you don't. And you're not really paying attention because you're fishing. You take a step and you step into a deep hole. It's deeper than your, overhead. What do you need to do, and what do you need to not do? So, I mean, the first thing is, and it's going to be the hardest thing, and that's to not panic. If you panic, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff that is not productive. You'll wear yourself out and you'll exhaust yourself in no time at all. So what you do is the first thing you want to try to do is to roll over on your back. Just like if you swim and you float on your back, you know really how easy that is. So you want to maneuver yourself so you're on your back, and then you want to raise your knees, bring your knees up towards your head. And that's going to do two things. With your knee up like this, it's going to create an air pocket in the leg, and that's going to help you float. It's also going to help slow down or minimize the water that's coming in your into your waders. And then you swim. But here's the problem, is you can't swim like you would swim if you don't have waders. Kicking your feet is pretty much useless. It will do nothing but wear you out. And believe me, I've done that before. And I've kicked and kicked and kicked and got absolutely nowhere. And I was totally exhausted in no time at all. So, I mean, if you're swimming, you know, with your bathing suit, whatever, you know, you have your feet and you're doing, you know, you're kicking, or your feet are pointed forward and you get propulsion out of it. No, well, you're wearing boots and you don't have to have waders. It happened to me when I was wet wading. So I had wader boots on, but I didn't have waders on. And your feet are like this. You start kicking and you get next to no propulsion whatsoever. And there are times when I felt like it was actually drawing me back. So kicking your feet is a waste of energy and a waste of time. You want to do all your swimming with your hands. So it's similar to like doing a backstroke, or just simply bringing your hand, cupping your hand and doing this circular motion here. That's going to help keep your head above water. And if you are in a stream and the current is dragging you downstream, that's going to help keep your head upstream. You want to get in a position where your feet are facing downstream and your head is upstream. So you just relax and just try to stay above water, try to avoid hitting rocks or getting caught under logs or whatever. That's another reason that you want to be facing downstream. And you just wait till you get to the current takes you to a place where it's slow enough that you can maneuver. And then at that point, you're going to use the sculling motion to bring you to wherever you're going. So you use you'd swim with your hands, and that's going to be your propulsion motion, and that's going to take you whatever, to shore or to your boat or wherever you need to go. Like I say, kicking your feet is very quickly very exhausting and very, very, very unproductive. So, you know, if push comes to shove and you're in a stream and you got caught up in the current and you've fallen forward and you can't manage to get on your back, it's the same thing. You want to swim with your hands. You want to doggy paddle, breaststroke, or whatever. At this point, you're in deep trouble. Hopefully you have forgotten about your rod and your fishing gear. You've dumped all that stuff and you're going to use your hands to extricate you from that situation. So, you know, the key is to, again, you want to try to get on your back. You want to try to get your legs up. You want to do all your swimming with your hands. You want to try to keep your head upstream. And you just, and again, if you're in a river, just float down until you get to a point where the current slacks off, that you can get yourself out of there. So, you know, the next time you go down to the river and you have your waders on, before you get in the water, think about those procedures. Just run it through your head a couple of times. What am I going to do if this happens? Because if it happens, it's going to take you by surprise. If you're fishing trout water, the water is cold, it's going to take your breath away. Things are going to spiral out of control really quick if you don't immediately start doing the right things. So, you know, just try to run that through your head a couple of times before you actually get in the water, and eventually it'll become, or you won't have to think about it. You will actually do it if it ever happens. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have there. That's about the best procedure of getting yourself out of water with the waders. Again, you don't have to worry about the water filling up the waders, but you do have to worry about hypothermia, and certainly you have to worry about the current pulling you whatever under a log, or heaven forbid something like that. That's going to end badly. So hopefully you do the right things and you don't end up like the guy on the North Fork a couple of weeks ago.
What's your suggestion? Let's just say that you are in maybe cold weather and cold stream. You get to the shore, you're by yourself, but you're still got to deal with hypothermia. What's any suggestions there?
Well, that's a good question. The first thing you're going to have to deal with is when you get out of the water. Now all that water that was in your waders that I said it was neutrally buoyant, when you come out of the water, you got a lot of weight. And I mean, I don't know any way of getting that water out other than taking your waders off, or to go to a hill and, actually put your feet up at the top of the hill and lay so your head is facing down and get some of that water out. Yeah, that's a pretty tough question as far as, if you're already wet and it's cold out, I'm not sure if you're going to be better off. I suppose it depends on the type of clothes that you have. If it's wool, you're probably better off leaving it on. If it's cotton, you might be better off taking it off, So certainly, the best thing is going to be to keep moving and try to stay warm and get back to your car as soon as possible.
Yeah, from what
Get your
you said,
survival
Jim, I
kit
was
out, start
thinking that being
figuring out
able
how
to
to
get the
survive in
water
cold
out,
weather.
Standing up probably can be, when you get to the edge of the river, you might have to kind of crawl up or roll up on the side to let the water drain out. But if you're
Yeah.
really wet, I was thinking you may have to strip everything off and then just put the waders back on. They're windproof. I mean, once you get your wet clothing, usually it's the wind chill and stuff that'll get you. But staying in soaking wet, cold clothing will really suck some heat out of you fast.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Wool clothes, if you wring them out and put them back on, might be worth it.
If you lay on your back and stick your feet up in the air, generally so the water will drain out.
There you go.
Yeah, I've done this before. Matter of fact, I've taken spills in the wintertime.
It's no fun, is it?
No, it is not. I had a long walk down on the Current River, and I walked almost a mile before I got back to the car.
Oof.
One of the things about walking is that you produce some body heat. And if like you've been saying, that you have some protection from the wind and keep some of that heat in when you're walking, that'll help.
I know the pool or some kind of a venue we could use to try techniques out.
I've done experimenting. I fished the Burbus River, at least a half a dozen times every year. And the nice thing about the Burbus is very slow water. And if you find a pool, you can do that kind of stuff. Now, I've never brought my waders in there, but there'll be plenty of times where, especially in the summertime, it's really hot. And, a lot of times I'll be in my canoe, but I will wear wading boots just because that's one place, it's warm water, so you can use your felt sole boots if you still have an old pair left there. And it'll help, keep you from slipping around and stuff like that. But if it, sometimes it's hot enough, I'll spend an hour fishing and then it's just, okay, pull the boat, pull the canoe on the side and hop and do some swimming. And that's where I've practiced this business of trying to kick with my wading boots on. So again, it's very slow water. It's almost like being in a pool. So, I mean, that's the only place right off the top of my head that I can think of.
There's there at Huzzah Valley Resort, right where that dry creek comes in, there's a pretty good hole right there. If you had a couple of people around for protection and something you could throw in for a life vest or whatever, that might be a good place to do that sometime if we had a mind to.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. You can go down there and just experiment with with what to do and whatever.
Problem
practice
is
on
something like that where you're going to need safety divers. You're going to need people that are scuba qualified just in case. I mean, even throwing a life preserver or whatever, you're still going to have some type of safety diver on that.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Where are you talking about?
Huzzah Valley Resort.
Valley Resort.
Outside
Oh,
Steel.
I know the hole he's talking about right there at the launch, but you're gonna have to have something like that, some type of safety diver, somebody that's in the water constantly, and they can go down without having to keep coming back up for air to bring in case somebody panics, basically.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if they have
VA, they have the people in the kayaks where they flip them. Couldn't we do something like that at the VA place too?
I'll have to look into that, but I like the idea.
We'll do that. Walt, we'll have you do that Saturday at your house.
Doesn't Walt have safety ducks or something like that there?
Geese. Safety
geese.
Geese are guard. Eddie, something ate the geese Friday night.
Oh, it breaks my heart. I'm sorry. I don't like the damn things. They tear a golf course up quick.
I just thought it'd be something might be good to learn so that when it does happen, you say, okay, I kind of know what to do,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe we can get the state of Missouri or water safety or see if they've got a class like that.
You know
maybe
what?
I don't know.
I'll talk to some people from like maybe the Ozark Fly Fishers or from Trout Unlimited. I wonder if they have suggestions or programs like that.
That'd be
I
nice.
could ask them.
Yeah, next time I'm at Hargroves, I'll start asking around about that.
Yeah.
There is an organization that I've seen down on the Merrimack. They do it quite frequently. They show techniques, how to throw the rope out to the people, how to get people out from underneath the log jams. I used to do a lot of fishing down there at not Baptist Camp, down at Suicide Hill. They do a lot of techniques down there.
And who put those on?
I'm not really sure what organization it is, but I've seen them down there.
It might be what is that? Eureka Fire or one of the fire protection districts down there. They usually the ones near the water have water rescue guys.
That's who I check with is the water rescue guys, see if they'd be willing to do something, work with you. But I know TU doesn't do anything like that. I've been a member for many, many years and I've never heard of any program like that. It's a good idea, but.
And I mean, if they don't, or they're not willing to do something, I've got a couple of buddies that are scuba instructors. In fact, the ones working with me to get my scuba certification, and they work with veterans a lot. So they may come out and be safety divers for us.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
But I'm sure that like Brian, my buddy, he's going to want, pretty much a
belt like this around your waist when you go under there, and we tied a rope to it. If anything happened, we could pull you out. That's, you know, don't know that we have to wait till you go under and start searching the bottom for you. We could just pull you right out.
It's called a tactical belt.
It's, yeah, tactical
CQB belt.
tactical TDU, tactical uniform belt.
Okay, I found it under tactical belt.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah, it's just a big sturdy web belt. That's all.
The other thing you're gonna need is chapstick lip.
And what are we gonna do with that, Walt?
You're gonna kiss your ass goodbye when you fall in that water.
Jim, you had to ask. You just
La,
had to
la,
ask.
la, la, la.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I think
Should have known that one was coming.
Yeah.
I was a water safety instructor at one time, so I used to teach all that stuff.
Yeah, until that little blue boy got you fired.
I've heard.
So, hey, do you guys want me to tie a fly? We got about 12
Yeah,
minutes.
go
I
for
might
it,
be able to
Jim.
do it.
Yeah,
What's that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me change cameras here.
I think I'm gonna cut out, guys. I got a couple more things to do. We've been
Okay.
running all day getting ready for Colorado, so I got a couple more things to do while she's working tonight.
All right, take care, Eddie.
All right,
Have
Yeah.
a good trip,
Good
Eddie.
luck. Have a great trip.
see you later.
Good luck, Eddie.
Thank you, sir.
I got a low battery.
Okay, so this is just a bass woolly booger. I call it a June bug booger. I've been working on this pattern for a few years, and it's kind of evolved, and this is where it has ended up. This is the fly that I caught a 16 3/4 inch smallmouth a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And like any woolly booger, it's very simple. I tie it in number 6. So I use size 6. Let's see if we can, size 6 4x long streamer hooks. 3x, 4x, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, I don't, they don't make Dairikis anymore, but I use the Umpqua U302. Let me, so size 6. I use those are the hooks. So we'll start out, we'll throw that hook in there right now. I will pinch the barb later because we're running out of time. For thread, before that, I'm going to do 13 wraps of 35 thousandths lead wire. I used to use lead free, but I ran out of lead free wire. So if, I'm going to do 13 wraps of lead. If it was lead free, I'd probably do 17 wraps, and it would be about the same.
You really
So
want this thing to go deep,
2.
don't you?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's not as deep as like a Klauser minnow or whatever, so it's kind of in between. So 7, 8, 9.
This
11, 12.
lead wire is safe.
What's that?
That lead wire is safe.
Is safe for what?
Touching, because I know I keep hearing people scream out, "Don't touch lead."
Well,
Yeah.
you certainly wouldn't want to lick your fingers afterwards. You would want to wash your hands. You wouldn't want to eat the lead itself. But
Most of the stuff is lead free.
Yeah, just try not to eat it and you'll be okay.
yeah.
Well, I've been
Yeah,
watching
Walt,
a lot
I'll
of-
tell you, I molded
homes
lead
and
bullets for
property
many
brothers.
years, and I'm still fine.
Okay. So that's
He
what
says.
Okay, so the thread I use is a red 6/0 unithread. You could use, if you had the ultra thread, you could use maybe 140 denier. I'm going to start the thread right in front and build up a dam in front of the wraps, and then I'm going to wrap back, build a dam in the back, and then just kind of a couple of spirals in each direction to keep material from falling in between the wraps. Cut off the excess. I'm going to take some blue marabou, tie that on for the tail.
I'm gonna say,
What
who's
is
having
somebody
a
doing
fight?
over there?
That's Trent.
Yeah.
It's-
So I'm going to tie on some blue marabou. As far as length goes, when it comes to bass boogers, I never worry about the tail being too long. I figure with bass, it can't be too long. Trout, I will try to make them a little shorter. Then I tie in a tuft of purple marabou.
Reminds me of Goldie Hawn from Laughing.
And
Telling your age.
then I throw on a couple of strands of blue crystal flash. So I'll take 2 or 3 strands, I'll cut it off. I fold it in half, then cut it in half. And then
Jim,
I'll tie.
is it important? Is it important to have a fan blowing on it while you're tying this?
Yeah, I really should turn that off, but I figure we don't have much time, so. So anyway, I tie it in at midpoint on the close side of the hook. Give it a couple of wraps, and then I pull that to the far side and I tie that down. Always wrapping back to the bend of the hook. I'll do the same thing with 2 or 3 strands of red crystal flash. Bend it in half, cut it in half. And I don't worry about whether the ends are close together or not. Again, tie it in on the close side and take the excess and pull it around the far side. Yeah, one errant one once, here we go. Then I use, it's called, you can see that, Senyo's Aqua Vel Chenille in mixed berries. It's just like a chenille that has flashabou already in it, and it's in blue and purple. So I will tie a piece of that in.
It's kind of iridescent, huh?
Oh yeah. And this is something I will normally fish on bright sunny days. If it's cloudy, I might go with a yellow woolly booger. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's what I usually do. And then this is just called woolly booger chenille, and it's just got little flashy things in there. And do it in a dark purple. As usual, I pull the fuzz out of the end so we have a tie-in point. And then we're going to tie that in. Oh, and then I'm going to break my thread.
Whoops.
Oops.
Now, do we have to do that, or
It helps, but you don't have to do it.
Just showing off.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Choking under pressure here, guys. I'm choking under pressure.
That's a good recovery, though.
I was gonna say, I thought he's teaching us how to recover.
Yeah, that's quick.
Well, I taught you how to recover from falling in the water. Now this is how to recover from breaking your thread. And, typical woolly booger, you want to do your wraps nice and touching wraps nice and close. So you're covering up the entire shank of the hook. We're going to leave some room for the head here. We're going to tie that off. Cut off the excess, clean it up a little bit. Then we're going to take that mixed berry chenille, and I usually do try to get somewhere between 4 and 6 wraps all the way to the front. As I'm going in, as I'm going up, I'm going to pull this stuff back. But honestly, that's not going to make a lot of difference. When it hits the water, it all falls back.
So there's no animal in nature that looks like that, but the
Heck no.
Attractive.
Yes. So think of it as throwing a piece of string in front of your cat.
Yeah.
What does it look like? Who knows? But the cat is going after it. And I figure it's the same kind of a response for the bass.
But again, we don't
So
know
no,
what,
there is absolutely nothing that looks like that.
but we don't know
they will
what the
take
fish
that.
sees either.
Yeah.
That's true.
The fish may see something completely different. He may be looking at it in a completely different spectrum. He may not see light the way we do. So, that may look like something very real to him. Who knows?
Yep.
It did. I imagine he's swimming away screaming.
Yeah. Could be his worst night.
So there it is. I got the head and 10 minutes.
That was good. Very nice.
Wow.
So it's just a very super simple fly. And, as I said, I call it the June bug booger because the inspiration was when I would get out my spinning rod, I would throw rubber worms. And one of the most effective ones was a color they called it June bug. And it was like a blue to purple rubber worm with all metal flake, red, green, blue metal flake in it. And I've caught a lot of fish on that. So I decided to try to make a fly to mimic that. And there it is.
Very
Wind
good.
effect is excellent.
And it's floating in the breeze.
That looks really good, Jim.
So
Very nice.
you
Thanks,
bet.
Jim.
looks nice?
Yep.
Looks fishy.
Looks fishy, buggy. Or
Yeah.
another guy, Danny, would say tasty. So looks good. All right, good job. But we learned a lot. We got to see that woolly bugger, a really good discussion on waders. So yes, we're going to continue safety talks more on. So that's a good idea. I appreciate that, Jim. And we'll get with a couple different groups and see if we could actually get some kind of lessons in that. Eddie had some good thoughts on it. We'll get with Hargrove, maybe he knows someone, but we all kind of know people. Will reach out and see if we could kind of do something like that. Have some fun at Who's All Belly and
do anything more
do
with
a little
knot
training in as well. Say again?
Are you gonna do any more with knot tying?
How about we
Like
do
we
that
did with
next
that
week?
rope?
We'll do some more knot tying next week. We'll go through different knots. We'll kind of do what we did where we'll go from tying backing to your reel, backing to the fly line, your leader to the fly line, and then, doing surgeon's knots and all that to the fly. So let's, yeah, we could do that. Why not? Give the flies a break and let's do some knots. Show you some of the kind of cheater methods. I've got a good blood knot sheet that I could do. I don't have any equipment with me now, but there's a quick way. I've always struggled with blood knots until I saw someone come up with a little quick cheat method on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes it so much simple. So again, I could probably even show you that this Saturday at Waltz if anyone wants to go over some knots. So again, that's probably the big news is, Walt's having us out. If you guys haven't already RSVP'd, let us know so we could kind of plan a little bit better around food and stuff like that.
Well,
If you want to tie, if you have your own vices and stuff, please bring them. I'll bring
I've got a table that could extend to, I think, 8 to 10 people.
Cool. So yeah, it's,
I'm gonna need somebody can come early, help me set it up.
yeah, I'll be there early, just
Linda's garden. So the dancing girls will be here about 11:30.
Woohoo!
Hey,
be there early. So yeah, we'll have a good time. We'll do some fly tying, casting lessons if we want. I could bring some of those hula hoops and targets if that would be fun. And then we got Walt's quarry where we could go fishing. So try to mash down those barbs and everything because those are his pets. So take it easy on
what?
I was gonna say take it easy on your pet fish. So either go barbless or smash down the barb.
They're gone. So they've been seeing about 12 to 16-inch trout. I mean, not trout, bass. Some fairly nice bluegill.
Cool.
After the kill, so it didn't kill everything.
Okay. So yeah, take it easy on his pet fish. Go barbless or smash the barbs down. So looking forward to Saturday. It should be a good time. So again, if you need anything, reach out. I'll be home or I'll be here tomorrow via cell phone. And then I think Wednesday, I'll be pretty much free. And then I'll be traveling back Wednesday night and I'll be back in St. Louis on Thursday. So if you need anything, let me know. So any go backs before we look? Oh, that's the good stuff right there. The Sawyer stuff. So clothing, gear, and tents. Because that's good for, put that on your shoes and your pants, on your clothing. Don't try to get it on your skin and, try to make sure you use that because tick season's been pretty bad lately. And when I was at Bennett during the kids fish free, those ticks were everywhere. So that's another good safety brief, protect yourself from those little biter bugs. So that's all I got. Next week we'll do knots. Saturday is at Walt's having a good time. So again, if you haven't RSVP'd, please do so. And I think that's all I got. So I'll let you guys go. And if you need anything, just reach out. So we'll call.
Hey, Mick.
Yep.
Mick, before you get off, could you send out like an email distro list of the members to each of us so we could contact each other outside of these meetings?
There is one.
I could do that again right now. I'll just I'll go to the last meeting one instead of putting it as BCC. I'll just.
I guess I guess I could just. Would I be able to just pull it off the email that you send out weekly?
No, he usually blind.
I put those blind copy, but I will put those out as just a regular and just got most people pay with emails. But I'll do the one time to say if anyone wants to fish.
I was just curious because I'm way down here south and Cape and Jackson. And if I'm gonna be heading up north or out that way, I just like to send out an invite, say, hey, I'm gonna be at whatever stream if anybody wants to, meet up and wet a line or something. Because I'm not I'm not up there in the county, like most of you all are. So
Yeah,
I just, I'd like to be able to reach out and at least, I can't make it to a lot of the stuff,
yeah.
but
But no,
it
that's
would be good.
perfect.
So
Some of us are still working,
yeah,
others
it's
are,
purely selfish while I'm asking.
and it's others are going to be happy that you reach out and say, hey, I'm going fishing, or like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I got the day off, let's go." So no, it's a good thing, and I'll get that out
Yeah.
there. And again, if because if I'm working or something like that, but somebody wants to sneak out, go to Merrimack in the middle of the week, you pretty much got that stream to yourself. So
Mhm.
take someone with you, have a good time. So
Yep.
all right, I'll do that. So I'm gonna go change
you.
some garage springs real quick. So I will let you guys go. If you need anything, reach out on to my cell and I'll get back with you guys. So have a good evening. We'll talk to you guys soon.